Hey everybody, this is TJR. After the release of Peter Jackson's film Get Back, one of the hardest things for me to refrain from was watching other reviews on YouTube. This is because I didn't want anyone's opinion to influence my own until after Robert and I had completed the two videos that we said we'd make regarding the film. So immediately after posting the video, I began to watch other YouTube reviews on the film. And this video that I'm doing today is inspired by some comments from Rick Beato. He was reacting to the movie, and he expressed an opinion that he felt that the mixes of Let It Be Naked were far superior to the original Let It Be album mix. And as I watched his commentary, I wondered to myself, it doesn't sound like he's aware that there was a remix in 2021. Now, I could be wrong, maybe he just didn't think about it, but it just felt like he hadn't taken that into consideration. So I thought to myself, I've never done a real serious A to B, track by track comparison between the album, the original album, and the Let It Be Naked album. Never really done that. I've owned them both. I've enjoyed them both, but I've never really critically listened to them and compared them. So I thought that might be an interesting topic for a video. And initially, I was going to basically use Giles Martin's 2021 remix for the original album, and then, of course, Let It Be Naked. But as I thought about this, I began to think, no, that's really not fair, because not every Beatle fan who could be watching this has necessarily heard the 2021 remix. Not every Beatle fan is down with the 2021 remix as well. But every single Beatle fan has heard the original stereo mix. Now, with that said, that doesn't mean that I'm going to just ignore the 2021 remix. No. So for this shootout, so to speak, with each track, I began by first listening to the song in its original stereo mix. I used the 2009 remaster for this. Then I compared the original album mix to its Let It Be Naked counterpart. Then I compared the Let It Be Naked mix to the Giles Martin 2021 remix. So we have a three-way shootout that we're going to do today. The track order for this video will be, of course, the original Let It Be album track order. Not included in this video will be any tracks off of Let It Be that do not have a Let It Be Naked counterpart. So Maggie May and Dig It are not included. Now, I have made one exception for this video. There is no way that I could ignore Don't Let Me Down. So many fans have said that that should have been on the original album, and I agree. So I will be comparing the original mix from past masters to the Let It Be Naked mix. After each track, I'll give my own opinion on which version I prefer. And remember, this is just my subjective opinion. You don't have to agree with it. So before we get into the meat of this, if you want to see more videos like this, please click like, click subscribe, and smash the bell notification icon so you never miss a video. Track 1, Two of Us. I have to admit, the naked version of this song is much cleaner when you compare it to the original stereo mix. There is a muddiness in the bass on the original that is much cleaner sounding in the naked version. By comparison, though, the bass drum on the introduction of the naked version sounds a lot drier. This same bass drum has a bit more oomph in the Giles Martin remix. And also, the Giles Martin remix cleans up a lot of that muddiness in the bass from the original stereo mix, making everything a bit more clear and kind of giving it the best of both worlds of the naked and the original stereo mix. I should also add that some of Ringo's hi-hat accents are also much cleaner and more distinct in the remix, the 2021 remix, versus the naked version. I also found the same hits to be more distinct in the original mix as well. In spite of what I've just said, I think that overall, these differences are small, and that my observations are the result of listening very critically. When I turn off my critical ear, I find that all three mixes are pretty much equally enjoyable. Track 2, Dig a Pony. Once again, the naked version features a less muddy bass guitar. But part of the reason why I think the bass is less muddy on the naked version is because it's been just brought down a little bit more in the mix. As a result, this also brings out the guitars so you can hear them better. However, one advantage I heard in the original mix is that the guitar fills, when John Lennon sings, "You can penetrate any place you go," these guitar fills are more distinct on the original mix versus the naked mix. And I want to stress, I'm not saying that they're not there on the naked mix. I'm just saying that they are more distinct on the original versus the naked mix.
Penetrate any place you go. Yes, you can penetrate any place you go. Yes, you can penetrate.
The Giles Martin remix tries to give the bass guitar the same presence as in the original, but brings out the guitars so as to be more distinct in the way that you hear them on the naked mix. So once again, it feels like he's giving us the best of both worlds with this. Also, John's vocal on the naked version is drier and more upfront, but there is a nice bit of echo and reverb on his voice in the Giles Martin mix that makes his vocal sound a bit more expansive. And believe it or not, even though this is Phil Spector we're talking about, this echo is not as noticeable on the original. Overall, I think that Dig a Pony benefits from the bass guitar a little lower in the mix in the naked version. Track 3, Across the Universe. The naked version is pitched slightly faster than the original mix, thus Lennon's voice is pitched a little bit higher. This does not make one better than the other, and it is a matter of personal preference. I, personally, prefer the song slightly slower with the vocal pitch lower the way it is in the original mix over the naked version. I also love the orchestration and vocal choir in the original mix. I think it sounds heavenly. However, I do also love how the naked mix allows me to better experience the drones of the tempura. I also like the echo on Lennon's vocal in the naked mix as well. All the instruments of the original mix make any vocal reverb or echo less noticeable. I especially like how the vocal echo increased each time Lennon sings the closing lines, Jai Guru Deva. The Giles Martin remix brings out everything I love about the original mix even more. The guitar is more distinct, the orchestral instruments and choir are more distinct. I said in my review of the remix that the original makes it feel like it's touching heaven, but that the new remix is in heaven. I also love the repeating bass notes that are played by strings that climb and intersect with Lennon's closing repetition of the line Jai Guru Deva. This musical bass walk is not present in the naked mix. It's interesting, this song's lyrics are so entwined with spiritual mysticism that you would think that George Harrison would be the natural one to have sing it. But I think Lennon's vocals are perfectly suited for any of the versions that I'm comparing today. This track features more of that Phil Spector stamp than any of the previous ones that I've talked about so far. But I think I like both of these equally well, both for different reasons. I don't think I have a favorite. Track 4, I Me Mine. Again, we have some muddy bass on the original mix, not so on Naked. The original mix plays up the guitar textures performed during the verses. While these are still audible on the Naked mix, they are played down a bit. As a result, Harrison's vocals come out a bit stronger in the Naked version. On the line, Now the Frightened Are Leaving It, Naked allows us to hear some organ hits that are pretty much buried or non-existent on the original mix.
Now the frightened are leaving it, everyone's weaving it, coming on strong all the time. Now the frightened are leaving it, everyone's weaving
I have to say that on the original mix, I really love the dark-sounding vocal choir that builds up during the song. The naked mix buries George's lead guitar during the chorus. I also like the brass instruments used on the second verse of the original. Finally, the way the orchestra builds on the song's closing and the longer sustained organ chord at the end give the song's ending a lot more menace that I don't feel on the naked version.
I'm divine. I'm divine.
Personally, I think that the original mix has more drama and intensity than the naked version. And the Giles Martin mix just brings out everything I love about the original even more. I prefer the original mix and the Giles Martin remix over the naked version. Next is Let It Be. So first I want to say that I missed the electronic piano part played during the lead into the guitar solo of the original mix. This is absent in the naked version. In my opinion, the organ-like quality of the electric piano better complements the real organ that enters just before the first guitar solo. Also, on the original mix, the organ solo has a more cathedral-style reverb on it, which enhances the song's overall effect. Now, these two versions use completely different guitar solo takes, and I have to be honest, I like the more aggressive guitar solo played on the original versus the naked version. It's a much more climactic lead into the third chorus. After the third chorus, we have two other very noticeable differences. George's guitar breaks on the last verse are completely absent in the naked version, and Ringo's drums on the final verse are completely different. And I'm discussing the 2-minute 41-second mark. On the original, Ringo changes up his drum parts for the final verse. On the naked, it's just straightforward drums.
There is still a light that shines on me. Shine until tomorrow. Let it be. There is still a light that shines on me. Shine until tomorrow. Let it be.
I prefer his drum change-up on the original. Also, on the original mix, I also prefer Harrison's closing guitar solo at the end versus the closing solo played on naked. Although I'm not sure if that solo at the end is an organ or an electric guitar played through a Leslie organ rotating speaker with some added vibrato effect. I'll admit I'm on the fence about the brass instruments used on the original mix versus the use of just background vocals on the naked mix. I think I actually like that better, but overall, I prefer the original mix and also the Giles Martin remix over the naked versions.
I've got a feeling deep inside.
Next, we have I've Got a Feeling. The naked version feels like a different take from the original. Paul's opening vocals are a bit softer and cleaner, and so is the opening guitar. I honestly prefer the more grunge feeling that I get from the original version though. And just like Dig a Pony, the guitar lead breaks are a bit more muted on naked as well, whereas they are more biting on the original. The guitar break on the 35-second mark on the naked version features a small piano accent not present on the original. This little texture is interesting to hear, but it does nothing to impact my opinion of either version in any way.
Got a feeling.
We also don't have Ringo's little vocal flourish at the end of Naked. Even though the naked version does start softer, it does get grungier as it goes. I honestly think both versions are equally good. Next is One After 909. On the Naked mix, the vocals are more front and center. But Giles Martin seems to have compensated for this on the 2021 remix. The Naked mix fades out on the song's final chord very quickly. This is to avoid hearing Ringo sing Danny Boy. But aside from this, the difference between the original and Naked mix are very minimal, and not enough to make me declare that either one is better than the other. It just comes down to personal preference. Do you want to hear Ringo sing Danny Boy at the end, or do you not want to hear it?
The long and winding road that leads.
The long and winding road. This is where I'm going to run into some controversy. Rick Beato himself referred to the orchestra strings on this track as sounding schmaltzy. In my review video for the Giles Martin remix, I remember a number of commenters referred to the orchestral strings employed by Phil Spector as criminal and described them as even being egregious. I have also read interviews with Paul McCartney himself where he has stated quite pointedly that he was not happy with the orchestral production that Phil Spector added to the song. Frankly, I was surprised to hear this, since so much of McCartney's songwriting lends itself to orchestral arrangements. I honestly thought he would appreciate the string arrangements that Phil Spector added. I'm glad that Sir Paul was able to have The Long and Winding Road released in the way that he envisioned it with the 2003 Naked version. But honestly, I have to say, I love Phil Spector's orchestral addition to the song. I think it sounds absolutely beautiful. If you disagree with me on this, that's fine. I've said this before and I'll say it again. It's okay to disagree about music. Leave a comment if you feel inclined to do so and share your thoughts. But if all you're going to do is just say, well, you must be deaf, I'm just going to tell you to please very kindly go piss up a rope. Calling someone deaf because they enjoy the string arrangements in the original version of The Long and Winding Road is as ridiculous as telling me that I have no taste buds because I prefer steamed broccoli over raw broccoli. Now, I would be remiss if I didn't also add that the takes used for The Long and Winding Road in the original album version and the Naked version are completely different takes. And at the end of the day, we are richer for having both of them available to us now. I prefer the majesty of the original version, but I also feel that the live track that is at the core of the original version is just simply a better take than the one used on Naked. For fun, I also decided to compare it to the Get Back version that was recently released on the Let It Be Super Deluxe set. My findings were that, with the exception of McCartney's spoken word on the line, "Many Times I've Been Alone," it sounds almost identical to the take used in the original album version. I also think I should mention that the instrument used during the solo at the 2-minute and 24-second mark of the Naked version, I personally feel it has a very dated sound to it. Don't get me wrong, I'm glad that we have the Naked version. I do enjoy listening to it. But now it's probably clear to you that I prefer the original version over it. For You, Blue. This is going to be brief. The original and Naked versions appear to be the exact same take, and any difference between the original Naked and the Giles Martin remix versions are minimal. They are all good, and I have no preference. Finally, we have Get Back. With this track, it's all going to come down to your own subjective personal preferences. The Let It Be version begins with the studio chatter. The Naked version just gets right down to business. By comparison, the Naked version is much beefier sounding than its original version counterpart. However, once again, Giles Martin does rectify this with his 2021 remix. At the end of the original version, we have Phil Spector cross-fading into some of the rooftop chatter. On the Naked version, the song just quickly fades on the closing chord. To be honest, I think I prefer the version on Past Masters over both of these. This version has no studio talk at the beginning or the end, and it has an extended closing. And I just think it's stronger.
Don't let me down.
Now it's time for our bonus round, Don't Let Me Down. This track, of course, was never included on Let It Be, and we all know it should have been. And also, I thought it would just be fun to make the comparison. So I compared the Past Masters version to the naked version. The naked version is played a bit faster than the original version. The vocals are more in front than on the Past Masters version, which feels a bit buried by comparison. But again, Giles Martin has fixed this on the Let It Be EP that is included in the Super Deluxe Edition. This is So Long As You Are Okay, with the added chatter at the beginning. I also do like the doubling of John Lennon's vocals during the I'm in Love for the First Time part. Aside from the speed difference and some minimal added production to the Past Masters version, these two versions are not that much different. I like them both, but I think I like the Past Masters version just a tiny bit more. So there you have it. Please share your thoughts and opinions in the comments. I'll look forward to reading them. I want to take a moment to thank my Patreon supporters who are helping me to make more videos like this. If you'd like to help me make more videos, please consider becoming a Patreon supporter and go to patreon.com/TJR the original. And this was fun. Maybe I should do this kind of shootout comparison more often. Leave a suggestion on that as well. Everybody, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you all stay safe and healthy. Take care. Bye-bye.
Don't let me